there, Simon from simonwoods.com. More Beaujolais. I have got some Crus here, and have I got 6 different Crus? No, I've got 6 different wines, but I think I've got 2 flurries, a Bruy, a Saint-Amour. Oh, let's just dig in and see where we get to. First one I've got Bruy, Jean-Claude Lapalou, Vieille Vigne. Don't know how Vieille the Vigne in this instance, but 2010 vintage. Not maybe as stellar as the 2009, but should be young and crunchy and hopefully rather joyful. Let's give it a whirl. And that's what exactly what it smells like. Crunchy raspberries. Maybe a little bit of like raspberry and apple pie in there. There's this like slight green apple tartness, but it feels like it's going to be a refreshing, juicy, throaty wine. Not too full-bodied, but yes, good, almost chillable red. Yeah, there's a nice, refreshing violet and raspberry earthiness coming through there. In terms of, I mean, Bruy is one of the slightly sturdier Crus among the 10 Beaujolais favoured villages, but this feels like quite on the light side. It doesn't feel like it's got that massive structure in there that's going to keep it going for 5 years, but certainly the next 2 or 3 years, that softness, that soft, gentle raspberry flavour is going to get even more mellow. Maybe a bit of that cooked strawberry edge that's lurking in the background will come through, but to be honest, I'd set into it now because it's really lovely and joyful now. Let's see whether we get joy in Régnier. 2009, G. Descombes. Descombes there. Sometimes it's Descombes, sometimes it's Descombes. One of those annoying ones with wax. Love the, well, again, heavy bottle and wax. Someone trying to show off a bit too much. Let's see if the wine lives up to its bottle. Other thing I noticed about these, the back of the other 5 bottles, nothing on them. This one has got something, Vivine, issu the best grapes, blah blah, hand-picked, élevage en fût de chêne. So in other words, it's been in a barrel. Not much Beaujolais ends up in a barrel, but this one has. And it's a richer, rounder, more mellow wine, this. This is more in that Burgundian feel. So there's a soft strawberry warmth. Yes, it's a year older, so it's going to have that extra mellow edge, but feels like there's more concentration there in the first place, and also feels like it's a bit finer boned. There's this juiciness. I don't notice the oak adding oak flavours, but maybe what it's done is given it a bit more structure. Feels like there's going to be quite a bit of body in the wine anyway, so it feels like more of a wine from the long haul, but maybe a lesser village than Bruy, but also this feels like a more ambitious wine. Yes, and there's that rounded cherry and red berry warmth. There's the brambles, there's an undercurrent of forest floor, that slight leafy undergrowth character. Earthiness, that fresh earth that you get if you've got a good compost heap, unlike me. And if there is oak in there in the background, maybe it's just adding a little bit of toasty warmth to the finish. But yeah, it feels like a much fuller, throatier wine than the one before, and for the long haul. So whereas I don't like the wax, I prefer the wine. Good wine. Let's see how we get on with flurry. I think I've got a couple of flurries. This one is Yvon Métras Le Printemps. So a wine called Le Printemps, you think, right, they're intending it to be drunk, young and juicy. So 2010 vintage. First of all, I look at the colour, and compared with the one before, which was quite a dense, deep colour, this one looks it's quite pale. But is it pale and interesting? Let's see. It's intriguing, this. It's got like a warm, mellow, puddingy type of fruit, almost summer pudding fruit. So you've got those raspberries, but you've also got things like red currants, maybe even a few black currants in there. And it smells lively and alive. If the first one, the 2010, felt maybe a bit angular is the wrong word, but that was the spiky, fresh one. This one feels like it's got a few hidden secrets that it will be willing to reveal if you give it another swirl, so I will. This is where, I mean, this is still officially Burgundy. I don't think you can label Beaujolais Burgundy now, or is it just the Crus? I can't remember. There's been some law reenacted or acted in the last couple of months. I'll flash up something on the screen about that. But here you can feel the end of Burgundy, beginning of Rhone-ness about it. So there's this warmth about it. There's a spiciness and plummy juiciness, and it feels more. It's a weird thing. It's closer to the northern Rhone where Syrah is king, but this feels like it's got some almost Grenache-like hearty warmth. But all the while it's got this Beaujolais freshness, so it's a nice mix, warm-hearted fruit, fresh finish. It feels like it's quite low sulphur, there's that feel about it where you think, okay, maybe it's a wine I need to drink pretty quickly. It's not going to last another couple of years really, but at the moment it's pretty charming and quite a lot to say for itself. Yeah, it feels closer to the soil than the first one. Let's see whether we get soily, down and dirty with this one. Julien Sunier's Fleury, 2009. Now this is another of those with a bit of wax around, but this one came off pretty neatly with the foil cutter, so I'm not going to denigrate it too much. Looking at the colour again, but we're back to the deep colour that was in the Rainier. And it smells like we're back to that deep, earthy, fruity juiciness. There's more of the plumminess coming through here. Plums, and yes, it's got the red berries, but it's also got a bit darker fruit in there, maybe some blackberries as well. And that's that Burgundian edge of Beaujolais again coming through there. So there's this undergrowthy warmth, and I like that plump juiciness. It's funny, 2009, it was this great vintage. This feels like a wine where it's 2 years old now. But it still feels like its best is still to come. Fascinating contrast between these two flurries. One is like juicy and immediate, and but still with hidden depths. This one has got depths which have yet to emerge. What's the difference between a hidden depth and a depth that is yet to emerge? Well, this one, I think this is the one that's got the stories to tell, but it's going to tell them tonight. This one has got stories to tell, but it's going to tell them next year. So I've got a feeling that, yes, I'd put my money on this for the long term, but I'd have a fling with that one. But I like them both. I think they're both terrific. Let's see what we're on with Saint-Amour. This is the one that always sells well around Valentine's Day. Domaine des Pins, 2010. So we're chopping and changing between vintages. Again, it looks back, we're back to a paler colour here. Could it be the vintage that is the paler colour? Or to be honest, I've got a feeling it's more the ambition of the winemaker. I think if you want to make a dark wine with the Gamay grape, which is the grape in all of these, you just leave it on the skins a bit longer. And if the grapes are good, if it's a great vintage, then the skins are fully ripe. You're not extracting any green meanies, and you get deeper colour. But this is back to youthful crunchiness, and it's great doing them this way. The order, I'm doing a Beaujolais tasting for some people next week, and the order, these wines have all got bottles numbers on the back. So the wines here I've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the order that the tasting is going to be in. Not sure who's come up with this order, but we're going from quite a full-bodied wine to, it looks like, a rather nice, juicy, youthful, crunchy wine. Will it work? Well, I think it will, because the tannins on this one were not too severe, and I've not had tannin build-up. So there's this lightness and juicy, leafy, like raspberry and blackcurrant leaf, as well as the raspberry fruit there. There's something in there that slightly disturbs me. There's a slightly, and if you ever get one of those grapes where it's just gone ever so slightly, there's a little bit of bloom of mould on it. There's a feeling of that I get in this wine, almost as if there was maybe a batch of grapes that was just slightly rotten. And it's amazing how when you get a flavour like that in a wine, it can dominate a whole batch, even if it was just like a couple of bunches. It is suffering slightly after the one before, because the one before was all rich and round. This has got much more angular, juicy, young fruit, and it's not as ripe, so you notice the gawkier bits. I had a little interlude. What I did is I tasted it first, and I thought, is there an edge of rot here? Is there an edge of something that's not quite right in the wine? So I sort of sat there for a couple of minutes, poured myself some more out. And I think what it was is that the ripeness of the one before was pointing out the structure here. Now coming back to taste it again, I don't notice that edge that I thought was ever so slightly rotty, grey rot. It's not there. What there is there's this freshness, there's this crunchiness, and maybe this is almost the wine that should have been wine number, it should have been at this end rather than wine number 11, especially after that, probably the most robust of the wines so far. But yes, it's got this joyful crunchiness to it. Classic Beaujolais, maybe not as classy as the previous three, but still pretty tasty. And final wine, we are on Côte de Bruy from a Chateau Thivin, Les Sept Vignes. So I don't know why there are 7 Vine, it says vine rather than vignoble. I don't believe there are just 7 vines that they make all this wine from. Again, back to dark coloured wine. Côte de Bruy, one of the sturdy of the Crus. The other ones I'd say were sturdy were Morgan, Moulin Avant. And those 3 between them I would say at the top end of ageability for Beaujolais. Yeah, and I stick my nose in here, and this is the dumbest of the ones so far. I mean, this was the second flurry needed to come out of its shell, but here you've got a wine that's sort of going, yeah, well, tell me about it. It's this core of forest fruit. So you've got the wild berries, you've got the wild strawberries, but you've got the blackberries, you've got black currants. We have these things on the hills here called whimberries, which some people are saying are related to blueberries, but they're much smaller, and they by themselves they're really tart. You need quite a bit of sugar in them. The French have these things, myrtille. There's a bit of that myrtille about this, M-Y-R-T-I-L-L-E. Weird. I've had this wine quite a few times in earlier vintages. Today it feels really, really sulky. And I'm noticing structure. Yes, I smell that nice dark fruit. When I come to taste it, I get this slightly green cooked apple acidity coming through, dominating it at the moment. As I said, I think it's on the dumb side, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this emerge over the next few hours. But I'm just wondering whether this bottle is ever so slightly on the... it's been dampened down by the cork, and it's just taken maybe 5% of the grace notes off the wine, because I notice body and structure, but I don't notice the daintiness and the joyfulness of the fruit. I'll give it another swirl and another go. It is slowly coming out. I will keep my eye on that and report back. As I said, Côte de Bruy, one of the ones that needs time to come out of its shell, but I'd be expecting it to come out a little bit more. But hey, wine, Beaujolais, love it. Love you too. See you soon.